Hi, friend, and welcome back to another episode of Authentically ADHD with me. Oh my gosh, friends, I am surviving. I'm surviving. There are 2 days left until winter break. Can it come faster? I'm not sure. This is what inspired the episode we have today. Some holiday hacks for people who struggle with mental health. So if that sounds like something that you struggle with or that you might be interested in, let's get started. Hi, and welcome to Authentically ADHD with me, your host, Carmen Irace. I am a teacher, a life coach, a lifelong learner, and an ADHDer. I created this podcast to create community, to create a place for us to learn together as the newest research comes out about this complex neurodevelopmental disorder. Are you ready? Let's get started. So, let's talk about why. Why do holidays overwhelm people, especially people with ADHD, anxiety, depression, or combination of the three? Well, let's first talk about the fact that holidays stress out like people who have neurotypical brains. So typically developing brains, regular, non-ADHD, non-anxiety brains. Holidays stress those people out too. No matter what holiday you're celebrating, holidays are stressful. And the reason why is because there are a lot of people. There are tons of decisions. Parties and other events give us sensory overload. We indulge in sugar and wine and fun things to eat. There's no routine or structure. And the other thing that overwhelms us, might surprise you, is our own thoughts. Now, all of these things affect typically developing regular people. But for people with ADHD and anxiety in general, in specific, indulging in things like wine and sugar exacerbates our symptoms, and sensory overload sometimes just makes us want to shut down. Having no routine or structure sometimes makes it difficult to keep to things that keep us mentally healthy and emotionally stable, like having our regular breakfast or having our workout routine, because you may be staying with family, or family might be staying with you, or it's just the holiday season and you're just off of your routine. So, how can we manage these things? And I'm going to go through these things, and this episode does not have a basis of research necessarily behind it. This has a lot to do with my growth as an ADHDer, as an adult with ADHD, as a life coach, and as a teacher, as I learn more about me, more about the disorder, and more about how it affects us. So let's talk about how we can manage our holiday stressors. I'll give you 3 holiday hacks right after a message from our sponsors. Hey ADHDer, if you want to dive deeper into these concepts, head to my show notes to join the Adult ADHD Program for Adults by Kristen Carter. Focused. It's amazing and it's changed my life, and it can change yours too. Head to the show notes and get $50 off your first payment. You won't regret it. Hey listener, if you're enjoying this show, you should totally subscribe to it so that you can see when new episodes pop right up into your feed. In Spotify, if you go up at the top and hit click follow, it'll notify you every time there's a new episode. Then, really quick, as you're listening to this, right under the follow little bubble, there's a rating bubble. If you could just rate this podcast and give some feedback, possibly maybe answer the poll question that's underneath the podcast, I would really, really appreciate it. I hope that you're enjoying whatever you're doing today or tonight. Have a great one. So, like I said, I have three very, very huge holiday hacks to help you through this holiday season. Number 1, manage your mind. Like I've said before, your brain is not a storage locker. So write down your thoughts and feelings about the holiday. Make a plan. Write out a vision. What do you want the holiday to look like? I mean, I doubt that your vision is something like running around like a crazy person trying to get all of these gifts at the last minute and trying to, I don't know, stay up late baking cookies, meanwhile forgetting to move the freaking elf on the shelf. Can we get rid of this thing already? Like, I may be biased because I don't have a child and I only hear stories about it through my students, but to me it just seems like way more work for the parent. But I'm just going to step off that soapbox because I'm not a parent. But from a teacher's perspective, it just seems like more work than what it gives out. So really have a realistic version of what you want the holiday season to look like. For example, if you don't want to spend your holiday season with certain people because they are toxic, you have my co-signature right now, right here, right now, not to. Say no. That will come up later when I talk about boundaries, but right now we're talking about managing your mind. So put out a realistic version of what you want and journal about your thoughts and emotions, about whatever it is that you're celebrating and how you want to celebrate it. Make sure you approach these things with something an author I love, Jon Acuff, says. Approach it with curiosity instead of criticism. Think about approaching a situation with curiosity versus criticism. Now, let's just take like a basic example of I celebrate Christmas, so we'll just take a Christmas tree. Curiosity instead of criticism to a person, say you don't like fake trees. This is just something, it's an example. This is not my view. I like real and fake trees. Say you're a person that loves real trees and you don't like fake trees. Now, going to someone's house and maybe seeing that fake tree could possibly trigger an emotional response. Again, this is an example, so think of something that might trigger an emotional response for you, like talking about certain things like politics, sports, the weather, etc., mental illness. So think about those topics as I'm talking about this tree example. So again, you like real trees. You don't really like fake trees. You walk in, you see this fake tree, and let's say you approach it with criticism. Like, oh, why do you buy, a fake tree? You could buy a real tree, and it smells so much better and all these things. And you're really just criticizing the way that this person has decorated their home for Christmas with their vision instead of curiosity. Oh, hey, what a different looking tree. Where did you get it? Like, how do you decorate it? Like, does it come apart? Those kinds of questions lend to conversation. They don't lend to you seeming like you know it all or seeming like you're criticizing this person for their Christmas vision. And notice how they were both questions. Why do you have a fake tree instead of a real tree versus, wow, what a different tree. Where did you get it? Etc. So just think about the situations that you're in and the thoughts you might have and how you might approach those thoughts with the emotions that you want to have so that you have the result of your vision of what Christmas is for you or whatever holiday that you celebrate. The second holiday hack that I have for you is solidify your boundaries. What do I mean by that? I don't know. Write them down, say them out loud to yourself, record them, listen to them, whatever works for you. But solidify them. What are your boundaries? Your boundaries internally, your boundaries to certain people, places, certain times. Maybe you don't stay at a party past a certain time, or you don't arrive until a certain time. Or if there's certain people present at a party, you don't go, or you only stay for a limited amount of time. What types of boundaries do you have? I know that I personally have an internal and external boundary. None of the people that I love or care about, or who love and care about me, expect a Christmas card from me. I don't write them. I stopped trying after I became a quote-unquote adult. A few years after, I thought being a quote-unquote adult was, I don't remember the age that I was that I stopped doing this, because what I realized I was doing was just setting myself up for failure. I created more clutter with the cards. They never got sent. And then I felt guilty that I spent the money on them, so I didn't want to throw them away. That's just a nightmare for somebody who has ADHD. So one year I just said, hey, how about I might just make a virtual one and send it out, and that's about it. And the people who really love and care about me, they don't care. They don't care. As long as they hear from me, as long as they see me, for the holiday season. Another thing might be certain places that you have boundaries around. You might have internal boundaries, and that might include saying no. And I just want to tell you right now that saying no is probably one of the hardest things that you'll have to do this holiday season. But I want you to understand, it's just as uncomfortable for the other person as it is for you. Remember, when you're told a boundary, it doesn't necessarily sit right at first. You don't like it. Is it convenient? No. But when you set a boundary, it's for you. It's not for the other person. And it's not your job to manage their feelings about your boundaries. I'm going to say that again because I feel like it was really important. It's not your job to manage their feelings about your boundary. It's your boundary. And that leads me right into number 3, make a plan ahead of time. And we're not going to forget about our self-care. So, like I said before, with your boundaries and making a plan ahead of time, say no to the toxic first. Seriously, if there are people there that are going to make you into a person that you don't want to be, or a person that is toxic to your emotional well-being, don't go. Again, if you need a co-signature, here it is. From Carmen Iris, you have my cosign. Say no. Don't go. Spend this season or holiday or break, whatever it is, with the people you want to spend it with. And make that plan. Now, also, making a plan ahead of time also includes during certain parties. So in this, I talk about avoid terrible conversation topics. This includes politics, the weather, sports, mental health, and complaining in general. Now, I want you to think about this for a few minutes. Having that 30-minute argument that proves you're like Uncle Sal wrong about something, about politics, about a politician that's not even going to be our politician maybe in a few years. Who knows? But that's your family forever. So to even bring up or entertain topics like this is just asking for failure. Another thing you can do to make these plans ahead of time is setting up supports. Whether that means asking loved ones for help, seeking therapy, maybe getting a coach. In my links, I will link it in the show notes. Sign up for a free coaching call with me before the actual holidays. I have a break, and I'd love to hop on a 30-minute call with you to help you make a plan. I'm also going to include a freebie in the show notes that you can download to help you sort out your ideas and your plans for this holiday. But I do have one more thing under making a plan ahead of time. And that is, don't forget about you. I know that holidays, they're hard. It's hard because your routine is thrown off, and people with ADHD, OCD, people with anxiety, we thrive off routine because it helps us know that we're safe. So if working out helps you, keep doing it. Or rearrange your schedule on certain days and plan ahead of time so you can still have these self-care tasks. Any of these things can count, from working out to listening to your favorite podcast, to listening to your favorite audiobook, to zoning out and staring at the wall, to sitting in the bathtub, or just having a glass of wine by yourself. Any types of self-care for you. Also, make sure that even during this holiday time that you be mindful of your brain. I'm not talking about your diet as in your weight. I'm talking about the exacerbation that ADHD symptoms have when we go off diet, and especially because our digestive, the gut and the brain are connected so much. That is totally for a different episode, but the gut and the brain are connected a lot. So just be mindful of how much you're taking in and make sure to kind of counter it on those other days. And again, make sure that you have supports in place for you when you feel like you just can't take it anymore. Because sometimes the holidays do that to us. So, as a recap, holiday hacks. Manage your mind, solidify your boundaries, and make a plan ahead of time. I'm going to link in the show notes a little freebie that you can get. You can sign up for a free coaching call, and as always, linked in the show notes, you can join Focused for $10, or you get a credit to your account and I get a credit to my account. I think it's $50 off. Head to my show notes if you want to get more support in this holiday season. Happy whatever you're celebrating. Sending love and joy to you and your families. I'm grateful to you and all of you for listening to my podcast through all of these shifts that I've had. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon. See ya.